strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at
it. Welcome to Life Through a Prism podcast with your host, Rob Tierney. And for the very first episode, I have a very special guest today, my dear friend Merran. And Merran, thank you for being part of this podcast. And how are you doing today?
Oh, it is my pleasure to be part of your broadcast.
And I noticed that Jacob, your guide dog, is with us this afternoon. He wants to be part of it as well.
He most certainly does. Even if all you hear is me scratching his ears.
So we're going to have a conversation today about, through your life and experience with disability, the changes that have occurred over the years. And I was just wondering if you'd be able to just briefly describe what your disability is.
I could describe it as a sensory disability. I don't see. In other words, I'm totally vision impaired, blinded, if you would like to say it that way. There are those who get very politically correct about wording. It'll give me a headache if I tried. So I don't.
So what we're going to start today is we're going to go back in time on a little bit of journey, and we're going to go back to the 1980s, 1981, when it was the year of disability. And I'm just wondering, Merran, when that happened in 1981, what were your thoughts, hopes and aspirations then?
In those days, of course, it was very new and very young, and where everybody was clamoring to get on board with the possibility of, really making a difference within the world for disability within a community. And it was exciting to be there, thinking that, maybe one day it will be sort of the reverse of what it often was these days of discrimination, that we'd be able to actually be equal with the rest of the community. But that doesn't always happen. But we tried.
So what was going on in that year of disability that really got you excited and hope for change?
The really part of the excitement and the hope for change, and maybe change for the better, was the effort that people were putting in, the advertising. Of course, that was all very loud and in you, right in your face. So you couldn't have avoided it even if you wanted to. And of course, it was exciting. And as we started to meet together and not as one community group, like one disability group, it was a mixture of. That was really exciting. That really could have gone somewhere, I felt, at that stage.
And where had you hoped that you thought it was going to go?
I thought it was going to become mainstream, part of the real community, the rest of the community, the Australian community.
So you were hoping that, and people at that time were hoping that, there wouldn't be any issues, that we'd all be sort of working together as one?
Yes, and that we will all be taking note of any, as far as building codes go. That we're taking note of things that would make life not only better for people with disability, but better for everyone. I was believing that for quite a long time.
So at the end of the year of disability and all these promises and the excitement and everything that was going on at that time, when did you first see that, hang on a minute, this isn't going the way that I had hoped, or the way that the voices that were speaking at the time were spruiking the change?
I think that was occurring in about the middle 1980s. You'd be starting to see the cracks forming.
What sort of cracks were they?
The actual ability to, when people were actually physically going to places, checking out what actually needed to be done to make a premises somewhere, and where it was possible to make it, as accessible for everybody, that it wasn't happening easily.
And were they giving a reason for why that wasn't happening?
I believe some of that reason was, it's going to cost too much to do. And even there's an expression we heard earlier today. It just can't. If you imagine you're going to get any job you wanted, with having a disability in a job market that you could get any job you want. Sorry, my friend, that isn't going to happen.
So how did you start feeling when you noticed these things weren't going to happen once all the hype and excitement of 1981 had died down?
I guess you could say that was starting to dawn on me, at least, that in the early part of the 1990s, that this isn't going to be an easy job to do. In fact, was it a job that we were going to be able to do? I mean, there were a lot of efforts done, but well, you could say that didn't go far enough. But I believe the only way it could have gone any further is if more people believed, and more people believed in us that had the disability, but that we could actually do the job, and we could. There's a lot of us who are brilliant people who could have done a hell of a lot more, never got the chance.
So as your life has gone on from your 50s until today, where have things gone? Is there any good, bad, indifferent, nothing, things getting worse?
It's a battle. It's a bigger battle now. It's harder to actually get where you were competent enough to be wanting to go, at least 20 odd years ago. And because a lot of us are slowing down now, been getting into those age groups, you really don't have the ability, the stamina to fight back, and aggressively. Because once you get older, if you want to go getting older gracefully, I guess that would be one way to put it. But is then you start to realise that all the things although there are patches of improvement, and there are improvements, things happen occasionally. Mostly they don't, and it never will. I believe now. I did believe that if you worked hard at something, you could turn the tide, change things. Make real changes happen. But I'm beginning to realise now it's not going to be possible. You aren't going to have a completely accessible public transport system. That makes you laugh. We all believed it, but it was possible. And a lot of things obviously have got in the way of that. And I don't know that it can be achieved.
So was there any major changes that happened that you'd like to, because hopefully you'll come back and we'll have a further discussion about this, on things that went in a different direction to what you had hoped at that time?
Yeah. I think there was a limit, there was an extension of time given to some operators, even to some of the public transport, all the rest of it. But the time was creeping on, and you could not really see that there had been any progress towards, because obviously you can't do it in 5 minutes, but you can. But there was no way that you could see that you were going to make it in the time. What happened when you got to the extension of time and it was over? Were you still going to achieve? I mean, but giving all of that, understanding that community, life in a community, in the community of nations, has changed dramatically since then, of a pathway that none of us would have ever expected to go. And I don't believe it will ever go back to what it used to be. People don't trust that anymore, and they don't.
So one final question, Merran. What if you had the chance to say something to your younger self, or for people listening today, what would you say?
I say, be aware of what's going on around you. Remain open to things that maybe look so different they can't be possible. There are ways to make them possible. Be aware of. Just make sure that you look at what's around you. See what you can do with it. See where you can go with it.
Thank you very much, Merran. Thank you for your insight, and I do hope you'll come back. We'll have another conversation another time about where things went different for you, where you had hoped. So thank you very much, Jacob. Thank you, Merran, and thank you, listeners. And until next time, take care. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.